Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Middle Class Reactions. So we're gonna take a look today at some of the conversation going on surrounding the Israel Gaza conflict, which is obviously nothing new, and on this channel it's nothing new. What is new is the people that are just like completely coming out, not just against. I'm not gonna say against Israel, but just against what's happening in Gaza, and the brutality of it. Um, I've lost quite a few friends over this, and you know, being from the South, Israel's like a hey, you can't talk about that with a lot of people. Like hey, what Israel does is the right thing to do. They're the chosen people, and it's kind of a weird conversation, especially in a lot of people I know. But we now have people like Theo Vaughn weighing in on this, not just weighing in, but like I'll show you. Theo Vaughn posted a video talking about this, just him not him talking to anyone, just him talking about it. um Breaking Points did the unedited excuse me, did the unedited version, so that's why I'm on their channel. I'm not reviewing anything on Breaking Points. Then we're going to go over to the Piers Morgan show, and it's one of the first times I've ever seen Cenk Uygur fully break down an argument and make sense. Not only make sense doing it, it's also the first time I've ever seen him legitimately like pleading with somebody for something. And it's also the first time I've seen Piers Morgan. He, they had an IDF soldier reservist on. And it's the first time I've seen Piers Morgan not just press someone on the Israel thing, because he has done that, but just completely be like, "Hey, Israel is wrong in this." And so I'll show you. I'll show you that as well. It was actually really interesting to see. But we're going to take a look at Theo Vaughn first, because I think Theo Vaughn more so represents a lot of the normal people. They're not the big media guys. They're not the big wigs. I think he more so represents, and the way he's looking at it more so represents a lot of how Americans feel. So we're going to take a look at that.
Listen to a little bit of that.
It feels to me like it's a genocide that's happening while we're alive here in front of our lives. And I don't. Sometimes I feel like I should say something. I'm not a geologist or geographer or anything like that, so I don't know a lot of the. Some of it I do know, though. Like, I know the basics of the issues over there, but for me, it's just like how I feel like you see all these photos of people, just children, women, people, body parts, just people like putting their kids back together. And I just can't believe that we're watching that and that more isn't said about it. And so I'm not saying anyone else needs to say anything, but I think I'm just that more isn't said about it by me. So I want to be able to speak up about that I think we're watching probably like, one of the sickest things that's ever happened. And I'm sorry if I've kind of haven't said about it. I've tried to talk about it and learn about it. But I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to say something. I don't even know what to do. And it's crazy because our country's also complicit in it. It's in it and has been for a long time. And it's just kind of interesting because then you just realize, oh well, I'm a member of this country, but I'm just what we want sometimes doesn't matter.
That last.
So I think it's an interesting perspective, especially like I said, coming from somebody like Theo. Because like I said, he to me more so represents a lot of the people, a lot of the normal Americans out there, and the way he feels, you can tell he genuinely feels bad about it. Feels bad for what's going on, and I think most people do. That's why I think now Trump is pulling away from Israel and away from being like, from just willing to not even think twice about aid and help, and like just throwing everything at him. I think that's why he's kind of stepping away from that. So now we're gonna go over to the Piers Morgan show. Um, this is an IDF reservist here. Of course, Cenk Uygur. You got Scott Horton. I forget her name, but she really doesn't talk much in this part. And then, of course, Piers. Of course, there's a little spiciness from Cenk, like always, but in the towards the end of this, be sure to stay around and watch. He seems legitimately sad for what's going on, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But we're gonna take a look and see what's going on here.
Before I go to Cenk, let me ask you, Doron, let me ask you a question.
And this is the forum that need to be called out.
Doron, on October the 7th, how many members of Hamas were there?
About 25,000.
Okay, so you've had
how many now?
You've had nearly 20.
And I'm gonna try not to stop, keep stopping the video during this. I just want to throw out there, even according to Israel, Hamas numbers now are around 40,000, give or take. That's according to Israel. Now, that was as of 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month. But yeah, it's rough, somewhere around 40,000.
Months, one of the most superior military force in the whole Middle East. You've had 20 months. You've rained down bombs which are 5, I think it's 5 or I can't remember the exact statistic, multiple times the tonnage of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You've rained it down on an area much smaller than those two cities combined, and yet you still haven't eliminated Hamas. You don't seem to be any nearer eliminating them because you still can't get the hostages back. At some point, you have to admit, don't you, that you cannot do this. This strategy is simply not working. All you're doing is killing more and more civilians. Where is the victory? You have failed. The most superior fighting force in the Middle East has failed to take out a ragbag collection of 25,000 terrorists. How? How have you failed so badly? You failed by letting them into Israel on October the 7th, and you failed to eliminate them now. And in fact, all the intelligence suggests that for every one that you have killed in Hamas, they've been replaced by 5 more. That's what I read at the weekend. Now, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's poor information.
The entire command structure, including this last week, of Hamas has been destroyed. Hamas right now is operating as individual units and hiding behind civilians in Gaza, hiding behind the hostages. If we place as a goal, we haven't destroyed Hamas because we haven't gotten our hostages back. The reason we haven't destroyed Hamas are 2. First of all, they're hiding behind our hostages, and most of us don't want to just blow right through our hostages to kill them. That is the most cynical use of a terror group. They took 250 people, raped and killed and executed them in order to tell the IDF to keep away. The other reason why this didn't finish so quickly, Piers, is the root of this conversation. We are trying to give food to the people of Gaza. No foreign army in the history of the world has taken care of an enemy population the degree to which Israel has taken care. I was there on the humanitarian. I was there on the ground. When was the last time you were in Gaza?
It's been 11 weeks of full
Cenk, when were you in Gaza?
Cenk,
when were you in Gaza?
Cenk Uygur making fun of Douglas Murray right there. I just caught that. I've watched this probably 2 or 3 times over today, just trying to piece the arguments. That's the first time I've caught that. Cenk Uygur making fun of Douglas Murray when he was on the Joe Rogan show with Dave Smith. Have you been there? When was the last time you've been? In fact, Cenk is making fun of that. That says something. But different conversation.
Scott, when were you in Gaza? When were you there?
It's been 11 weeks.
When were you there? I was there. I was there following October 7th on the ground at the humanitarian corridor, helping Gazans reach the humanitarian Hamas zone, and we are being fired on by Hamas. The reason why we haven't destroyed them is we are giving food to these people, and we all know that 50% of that food goes to Hamas. They recruit their new fighters, and therefore, the new plan is, Pierce, let me just...
Also, in case you don't know, he's saying he's been helping get food to the Palestinians. I mean, it's just straight up not true. I'm not saying him specifically, but Israel has had a full blockade. This is according to Israel, a full blockade on Gaza for 74 days, and it's almost, I think it's right at 11 weeks now. And according to Netanyahu, the only reason they took it off is because the optics of starving children was not good for Israel. The optics, not the actual starving children, was bad for Israel. The optics were bad. That's according to Netanyahu. So, yeah. So him saying that, he's been there trying to help get food to the Palestinians, that's just not the case.
I want to let Cenk respond.
The new plan is to go into Gaza, take over all of Gaza, and enable food centers, and then destroy Hamas. again, I will say, this is the only thing that will
He just
provide
told you
a
they're gonna conquer
long-term
Gaza.
benefit for Israelis and the people in Gaza that are living under this tyrannical regime. Let us destroy them. Do not make any excuses.
All right, Cenk, your final word.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So first of all, this guy does nothing but propaganda. Almost everything he said was a lie. They're not there to help the Gazans. Does anyone on planet Earth believe this preposterous liar that the Israelis are trying to help the people of Gaza? And he said there's 25,000 people in Hamas before the war started. So there's 2.2 million people in Gaza overall. All their homes have been destroyed, all their hospitals, all their schools, everything has been razed and destroyed by Israel. That is not helping them, that is butchering them. They've killed over 53,000 people at a bare minimum, injured over 120,000. They've been starving them for 74 days. They finally decided to let some food in now because of what Netanyahu called optics. They were losing the PR war because people were literally seeing babies starve to death. The moms had run out of breast milk because of malnutrition, and there's obviously no baby food because Israel, the monstrous terrorist state of Israel, did not allow any food in. And then, but there are good people in Israel, and there are good supporters of Israel that normally like Israel. And by the way, I don't hate Israel normally. I want it to be a safe haven, but I don't want it to murder and occupy and oppress the Palestinians
does David
for the
Duke
rest
want
of
Israel
time.
to be a safe haven?
And he just,
where have you been with these
here we
protests
go.
on
This
campus?
guy, of course,
you like Israel.
So Piers,
what
you
are
get the
talking about? You
strategy
like
they do
Israel.
on your show where they won't let the other side
Hamas.
talk.
Right now,
and they just start talking over them.
Yeah,
You
I'm
understand
sorry,
that strategy?
Doran. Can
It's
you
a way
let
to monopolize the
Doran? We let you
airtime.
The
speak.
Gazan people.
Doran, you're allowed to make your comments. Let Cenk just finish his, please.
Okay, so if you actually care about Israel, you would not enable their worst instincts. Rabbi Kareev he's a member of Knesset, and he did a speech where he said, it is not in Jewish tradition that we starve babies. And if you think it is, you're insulting Jewish tradition more than the worst enemy of Israel. And the rabbi is right. Rabbi Jacobs here in America said, what are we doing? For God's sake, let them eat. You look at the image that we're putting out there of Israel. Now and this guy comes in here with a long history lesson. Brother, we know that. And what happened to the Jews throughout history is terrible and should never happen again. But it should also never happen to the Palestinians or any other people again. And so when you say, oh, well,
so
back then this happened to us, so it's okay when we do it to Palestinians.
But
it
you
is
want to leave
not
Hamas in power.
okay
The
when
same
you
people that
do it
carried
to
out the
Palestinians.
Holocaust.
Again, here he goes again. Look, brother, a lot of people are allowed to say never again, but not you. You're not allowed to say it because you're actively saying that you want to conquer the Palestinians, you want to starve the Palestinians, and you've murdered enough of their children. For God's sake, let our people go. What is wrong with you? Israel has become what it most feared and despised. It has become that, and it breaks my heart. It isn't just the Palestinians that are suffering. The people of Israel, I'm asking you, is this who you are? Is this who you are? Is this the kind of people you want to be, that you starve babies to death and the whole world sees it with their own eyes? Why do you want the whole world to hate Israel? How does that help Israel? And it doesn't help any of my Jewish friends or family.
Hamas,
so they do not do it in their name.
We got to end it here.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it there just because it gets into a screaming match after that, and it's. I mean, you can barely hear the two. I think it's like, since I'm not a fan of Cenk, I actually I despise Cenk a pretty good bit. But I mean, I gotta call it like I see it. He makes a really good point there. The main one being, Israel's become what they said they despised. They've become the enemy that they said they were fighting. And the other thing, and this is where I lose a lot of people that are like close to me, like a lot of my friends, is that if we're holding everyone to the same standard, if we hold Hamas to the same standard and we hold Israel to the same standard, Israel is now a terrorist state. And it's just what it is. Like, if what Israel's doing to Gaza right now, if Syria was doing to a section of their people, or if Iran was doing a section of their people, whatever, we would all say, like, hey, you're being a terrorist state, you can't do that. And then Israel's the only one where it's like, people just go like, oh yeah, it's Israel, so it's fine. And when I say that, I'm not talking about Jewish people. That's another place where people seem to get mixed up, is like, a lot of people make it to where, like, if you criticize Israel, you're criticizing Jews. I'm not doing that. Israel is a government. It's not a people. Jews are a people. The Israeli government is just that. It's a government. That'd be like saying if you criticize something that Trump did or Biden did or Obama did, that you would go, oh, so you hate Americans. It's like, no, you freaking idiot. Like, I'm just I'm talking about the government. And if we hold everyone to the same level standard, Israel is a terrorist state, and we just can't pretend it's not anymore. And on that note, it's weird because now, Pierce is going, people like Pierce, and specifically Pierce, is going way more into the, like, hey, we can't just ignore this anymore. You have people like Theo coming out, putting videos out like that, and it's just, the public opinion has been against Israel for quite a while on this, but now it's getting to such of a point where I don't know if there's a return for Israel. And on the other hand, or on the other thing for Israel is they've made their enemies for the next 100 years now. And in the past, they've been able to say like, oh, the Holocaust happened to us or whatever. Now the people that are going to be fighting Israel are going to be saying, hey, y'all committed those acts on us. I'm not saying what Israel's done to the Palestinians is equivalent to the Holocaust that was done to them. Obviously, it's not. But when they get attacked in the future, they can no longer say like, oh, we're the victims. Y'all are doing it because you hate Jewish people. They can no longer, they have lost that. They've completely lost that argument. So I think, I honestly think for the next 100 years, they've made their enemies. So we'll see. Time will tell. Starting today, like starting as of West Coast time, it was like 9 this morning, maybe 9:30 when I saw the reports that Israel started its full ground invasion to take the rest of Gaza. So we'll see what happens out of that. But I think the public opinion is just fully against Israel at this point, and it should be. It should be fully against the state of Israel. And Netanyahu specifically, I think Netanyahu should be arrested for war crimes and put in prison. I really do. So that's what I got for you. Sorry, this one's kind of a bummer of an episode, but I appreciate you tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time.